Welcome back to the Rebellion Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Staker. This is going to be a good one. I'm excited for this one. Okay. This is our season's prediction episode. All right. So every single year going into the season, I kind of have an idea of what I think is going to happen, predictions, a general feeling, gut feeling I have towards the team, kind of how everything's looking in my eyes. And for the most part, I'm never way off, right? So I never think we're going to have a really awesome team and then we're horrible. I never think we're going to have, a terrible team and we're great. So I'm usually in the ballpark just based off of the players that we have on the team, kind of trends of how maybe the last few seasons have gone, that sort of thing. But I do tend to take a more positive approach. That's just a choice that I like to make. I can choose. Am I going to be positive or I'm going to be negative about something? So I look at every season like, all right, I'm going to take a positive outlook on this and think, maybe if a few things go this way or certain players play better than I think they're going to, we can maybe possibly have a good season, right? So this season, though, I'm very optimistic. I'm the most optimistic I've been in a long time, okay? So I'm going to start off this episode by talking about my thoughts on last season. I definitely got a lot of gray hair from last season. I was really stressed out, probably more than I usually am. I'm already kind of a head case, like I can't relax at the games. I can only relax if it's a blowout, really. And we had very few blowouts last year. I would say we haven't had an embarrassing amount of non-blowouts last year. That team just really stressed me out. I genuinely thought, going to that season, I thought we were going to have a good team. I thought we were going to have an NCAA tournament team. That was my prediction. Okay, but I will say, if you judge that team based off of when we finally got everyone healthy, we got Keelan Boone eligible, everyone, the whole roster as we saw it before the season, ready to play, starting with Creighton. If you go from that point on, we did have a good basketball team. We had the best basketball team we've had in 11 years or so. So, if you look at the season as a whole and you look how bad some of those losses were, someone might be like, Ryan, you were wrong. You said, we were going to be really good. All right, okay, that's fair. But we were as good as I predicted we would be. If you base it off of when we finally had a full roster. Okay, starting with Creighton, we beat Creighton. We should have beat St. Mary's. All right, and then we did really well in the conference. Except for one particular game that I will talk about later. Okay, so last season's team, it made me happy to see that we did turn our season around. I was about as depressed as I've ever been at the beginning of the season. That first game of the season, losing to Southern, who we were 20-point favorites against, losing to them at home. Not just losing, getting blasted. We were down by 24, 25 at one point. I'm sad to say I left the game. And I don't want to be that fan that leaves. I want to stick with my team till the very end. I don't care if we're down by 100 points. I want to root my team on to the very end. It was such an embarrassing display of basketball. They were so unmotivated. They just looked lost out there. They were shell-shocked. It was a really awful product. Okay, so I was like, I'm not wasting my time. I left. And I'm sorry to say that because, again, I'm not usually that fan, okay? But that game I was. And then the I don't know, 5 or 6 games after that, we really did not look much better, okay? I was very depressed because I was like, wow, I did not see this coming. I honestly thought we were going to be good this year. What the hell happened? All right? So, with all that being said, I'm happy we turned the season around. We put together a lot of really good wins in conference play. We ended up making the NIT. We won 2 games in the NIT. We got some really exciting play from our true freshman, Didon Thomas. We got some exciting play for some other players that, like Rob Whaley, who are going to be back this upcoming season. There's a lot to be optimistic about going from last season to this season. Okay, so that's all I'll say about last season. So now that brings us to today's topic, right? So what are my predictions for the 2024-2025 season? How good will the Rebels be this season? Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the reasons to be optimistic. I'm going to go list through all the different things going on within the program, the players, different reasons why we should have a positive outlook and feel good about this season, why we should be optimistic that we're going to be good. But then I'm going to go over reasons to be pessimistic, right? Reasons why we can't get our hopes up. Maybe we won't be so good, okay? Then I'm going to predict what our record will be, conference and overall. I'm going to predict if I believe we're going to make the NCAA tournament. If so, what seed will we be? I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to get into fan support. The Mountain West has been a ghost town, an absolute ghost town, the Mountain West. What am I talking about? The Thomas and Mack has been a ghost town over the last several years, all right? So I'm going to get into that because it's really bad. It's been really embarrassing, to say the least. Okay, and then once I wrap all that up, I'm going to get into predictions for my individual awards. I'm going to talk about who I think our MVP is going to be, our leading scorer, our newcomer of the year, our sixth man of the year, and most improved. Okay? All right, so to kick this thing off, let's start off with reasons to be optimistic. My first reason and number one reason that UNLV basketball fans should be optimistic going into this season is a young man by the name of DJ Thomas. Okay, absolutely blew me away how good he was last year. He got off to a rough start, and by rough start, I mean like the first half of the first game, because he was pretty damn awesome from that point on. Okay, and I really didn't have super duper high expectations for him just because he's supposed to be in high school, and it's a massive jump going from high school to D1. So I really didn't know what to expect from DJ. I remember before the season someone saying, for this team to be good, we don't need DJ Thomas to be Derrick Rose. We just need him to be Oscar Belfield, okay? And not only was he Oscar Belfield, but he actually might have even been a little bit better. And I'm a huge Oscar Belfield fan. So DJ got better as the season went on. He has some things you can't teach. Okay, he has that dog in him. Okay, that's what I like to say. He has that dog in him. Okay, he's built different. These are all the terms I like to use to describe DJ Thomas. Okay, some players are better in the bright lights. They're better when the pressure's on. They want the ball in pressure situations, and that's DJ. Okay, some guys crumble in those situations. Some guys, you see them in practice or in pickup game, and they look like an NBA lottery pick. They don't miss. They're like an unbelievable talent. Then you put them in a real game, in a pressure situation, and they're soft as Charmin. Okay, they just crumble. That's not DJ Thomas, thankfully. And he proved that last year. He had his best games against the top competition. St. Mary's, Creighton, San Diego State. Okay? He lit those teams up. And it was really exciting to see. So him doing that as a true freshman, not just a true freshman, but a guy that's supposed to still be in high school. So him doing that season and now carrying that over into his sophomore season. Oh my God, I'm excited. I can't wait. He's going to be even better. He has that maturity. He has that experience under his belt. So yeah, DJ Thomas is our number one reason why we should be optimistic going into this season. All right, so some more reasons to be optimistic. First is roster construction. I really believe we built a good team to go out and compete. To build a good roster, you have to have a good balance of everything. Okay, you got to have guys that know their role. You got to have star players who can get you a bucket in prime time, when the game's on the line. Okay, you got to have a good mix of guys who can drive, and you got to have a good mix of guys who can hit from outside. You have to have versatility, players that can play multiple positions. Okay, you have to have guys who can defend the ball. You have to have guys that can rebound. You have to have some size. You also have to have some speed. Okay, you have to have some talent. Okay, the best teams are the ones who have a good mixture of all this stuff, okay? All right, so I believe we're going to be improved shooting. Okay, I know we lost Justin Webster and we lost Keelan Boone, and that hurts. Losing them, it made me a little worried going into the season because I was like, shoot, we weren't a great shooting team, and then we lost our two best shooters. I'm nervous. But we went out. We got Julian Rishwain. Okay, we got Jalen Bedford. Okay. And we got Jace Whiting. Okay, these are three guys that can get hot. These are three guys that are proven shooters. Okay, and I do anticipate that they are going to have a good year for us. Okay. DJ Thomas, he shot pretty well last year. All right, so I'm expecting the same from him, hopefully a little bit of an improvement. Brooklyn Hicks, he shot 40%. He was our leading three-point shooter last season in terms of percentage. So I know he's capable of being a good shooter for us as well. All right. So I do believe overall, top to bottom, we are going to be an improved shooting team. Not by a lot, but I do think there will be a little bit of an improvement. Guards and bigs who can score. Okay. There's been a lot of UNLV teams over the years we got all of our scoring from guards, like 6'2" guards, 6'2", 6'3" guards that were like our go-to guys. And it's kind of easy for opponents to plan against that. Okay. When you have a short guy that does all of your scoring, we have a good mixture of guys that can score. Okay. Rob Whaley's someone that can go get you a bucket. Jalen Hill. Okay. I honestly think Jacob Benarby is going to be someone who's not expected to get us a lot of points, but I think he's going to be sneaky good. Okay. I think he's going to be someone that will surprise some people and be another guy that can get us some buckets. Okay. The next reason I have is experience in Kruger's system. So we're bringing back De'Don Thomas. We're bringing back Rob Whaley. We're bringing back Jalen Hill, Brooklyn Hicks. These are guys that did get some good minutes and good experience in Kevin's system last year, and they're going to carry that over, okay? So I'm definitely optimistic in that sense, okay? Another reason to be optimistic, improved rebounding. I don't remember the last time we actually had a good rebounding team at UNLV. I don't know. You might have to go back to like when we had Roscoe Smith and Kem Birch. We had two dudes averaging double-figure rebounds. But it seems like we just are never a good rebounding team. I am predicting that we will be a better rebounding team this year. Okay, we may not have anyone who's averaged a buttload of rebounds already at the D1 level, but this is the biggest team we've ever had. And I say biggest because it's not just height. Like, we have some dudes that have some real like weight to them, right? Some muscle. All right. This is the biggest team maybe we've ever had. You know, I'd have to go back and look at all the other rosters to see and compare, but I mean, we have a 7-footer, a 6'11" guy, 6'9", a few other guys, 6'7", 6'8", a lot of size, right? Bear Cherry, he's not just tall. Like, the dude's, he's a big boy. He's like 270, 280. Rob Whaley's like 260, 270. Like, these dudes are big, and they're going to throw their weight around, and they can move as well. Okay, they're not just big, slow stiffs. All right, so just by the fact that we have so much height this year and so much size, that right there is a reason to think that we should be a better rebounding team. Now, height doesn't always automatically mean you're a good rebounder. Like, there's a lot of skill to being a good rebounder. All right, Jalen Bedford, he averaged 6.4 rebounds as a 6'4" guard. Okay, that is really impressive. So having him in our lineup, having a guard that can go snatch boards, that's huge right there. Okay, so I do anticipate that we will be improved rebounding this year. Okay, so this next reason I have, this is pretty interesting. Okay, so I did some digging into the stats and everything. I went over a lot of our new players and our current players. And here's another reason why I'm optimistic. All of our best players have had their best scoring performances, their best offensive showings against the best competition. Right? That's pretty cool. All right. So, for example, Jalen Bedford, 26 points against a ranked Texas Tech, 23 points against Kansas State, which is a big-time program. Jaden Henley, he scored 19 against Marquette, who was a 2 seed. He scored 15 against UConn, arguably the greatest team ever. Julian Rishwain, he scored 20 points against Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference tournament semifinals. 20 points. 25 points at a ranked BYU. Okay, some very impressive numbers. Jalen Hill, 26 points against Alabama. Alabama was a 1 seed that year. Okay, in that same game, Jalen Hill got a fast break and dunked on Brandon Miller, the number 2 pick in the draft. So he dominated one of the best teams in college basketball. He also had 18 points against a ranked Florida, 17 points against a ranked Baylor. Okay, this is a couple seasons ago when he played for Oklahoma. And then De'Don Thomas, he scored 29 points against a ranked San Diego State. He scored 23 points against a ranked Colorado State. He scored 25 points against a ranked New Mexico, who he was being defended by Jalen House, giving him the business, right? And then 24 points against St. Mary's, who was a 5 seed and won their conference. And then he had 19 points at home against ranked San Diego State and made the game winner. And then lastly, we have Rob Whaley, 21 points against Princeton, who was a 1 seed in the NIT, 18 points on the road against a very good Boise State team, 16 points against a ranked New Mexico. So we have a lot of players that have proven that they can show up against the top competition. And what makes me excited about that is these guys aren't going to be afraid of anyone. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. It doesn't matter what that jersey is on the opponent's chest. Our guys are going to take it at them, and they're not going to be afraid. All right, I guarantee there's no other team in the Mountain West Conference who has this many players who have scored 17 or more points against a Power 6 school or a school that was in the NCAA tournament. Okay, we have numerous guys who have gone off against really good teams, okay? So that gets me excited. All right, enough for the optimism, right? Let's to keep this fair, let's go over some reasons to be pessimistic. Okay, some reasons why UNLV might not be as good as we think or as we hope, right? The first reason for that is history. A lot of times when you ask someone, do you think the Rebels will be good? They're like, no, we're not going to be good. They don't have actual logical reason of why they think that. They can't break stuff down and say, we're weak in this area or we're lacking in this area. They just say that because they're just basing it off of how previous seasons went, okay? They don't actually have good reasons why they say that. So, but I honestly, I get it. If you look at how the last 7 seasons went, or not more than that, actually, more like the last 10 seasons, disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. So history says we can't get too excited because it's been like 11 years since we've made the NCAA tournament. So that kind of brings me back to reality when I think that. Like it's not like we have a coach who's proven to get teams to the NCAA tournament. We have a coach who's never even been there, okay? So that's the first reason. The next is we lost a lot of close games last year. We lost a lot of games where we had the lead late in the game and we blew it. The worst one I could think of was Reno at home, beating them the entire game, beating them by 10 with like 5 minutes left or something like that, and then blowing that game on our home court. I was furious after that game, absolutely livid. And then my son was born the next day, so that kind of I wasn't thinking about that loss anymore at that point. But yeah, so we lost a lot of games that we should not have lost, whether it was to bad teams or to good teams where we blew the lead. We blew a big lead against St. Mary's in overtime, unacceptable. And you could also spin this and say, that's a reason to be optimistic. If we just held on and did a couple things differently, we win a few of those games and then we make the tournament. And then, I don't really look at it quite that way, right? Another thing is we didn't blow anyone out. There was a lot of teams we were better than, a lot of teams that we had significantly more talent than, and we would beat them by 2. Like every single game in Mountain West Conference play was a nail biter. As a fan, sometimes you just want to sit back and relax and watch a blowout. Just blow someone out, please. It's San Jose State. Just be up 30 at halftime so I can go get a beer and laugh and hang out with my buddies and not stress, okay? Every single game was stressful that last year. So I bring that up because that makes you have to question coaching, okay? Those bad games, those bad losses we had, like the worst loss in school history at home versus Air Force. What in the world was that? We lost to the worst team in the conference at home by 32 points. Absolutely unacceptable. in that game killed any chances we had in an at-large bid, because we were, we were making some noise at some point. At one point, we were doing really well in a conference full of really good teams. Like, we were competing for the title. Like, it had me thinking, like, okay, is there any chance we can get an at-large bid? And the answer to that question was nope. That loss to Air Force absolutely sunk us. Okay, with all the metrics and all the different Ken Palm and all the computer systems, you get blown out at home to a bad team. That's like the equivalent of losing like 6 games to an average team. It's just bad. So because of losing that Air Force game, the games that we blew the lead, the games to bad teams that we lost, like Southern and Loyola Marymount, getting our butts kicked to Richmond, who wasn't even that great of a team. Because of that, you have to question, like, all right, like, how well coached are we? Are we going to come out next season not ready to play? Okay, so just something to think about. Okay, so I would say another reason, defense. We don't know how good we're going to be defensively. I think we have the potential of being a good defensive team because we have athletes and we have size. All right, but we have a lot of new guys coming in. Are they going to be able to defend? I'm not sure. Losing Luis Rodriguez, losing Keelan Boone, Caleb Boone, all 3 of those guys could defend, or they could do something good, like block shots, like that helped us on the defensive end. So that's a big question mark for me. I really hope at the very least this team can be as good last year defensively, as good as we were last year defensively, because I'm confident we're going to be better offensively. I'm quite confident. So if we can be the same defensively as last year and then upgrade offensively, that's an NCAA tournament team. Okay, so now I'm going to go over some predictions. So I'm going to put the over-under at 24.5 wins for the season. 24.5, which that would be the most wins we've gotten, God, in a long time. I'd have to see how many wins we got in 2013, the Anthony Bennett year. But that would be the most wins in like at least 11 years. I'm going to put the over-under at 24.5. I'm taking the over. We're going to win 25 games this year. We have a very tough non-conference. Our conference is always tough. I'm very high on this team. Remember this quote. We're going to win 25 games. Okay, I'm going to come back to this episode later and show that I was right. All right, so conference, I'm going to put it at about 14.5 wins. Whew, that's tough. Since I went over on the total wins, it would make sense to go over on the conference wins. 14.5. I'm going to take the over. We're going to go 15-5. Okay, we're going to be a good team. Are we going to make the NCAA tournament? Yes, we are. So, and I got to be honest, we really, really need to make the tournament. If we do not make the NCAA tournament this year, I don't care what the reason is for. It could be injuries and all that. I think Kevin Kruger is done. I think this is his last season. If we come out to start the season dropping some games to teams we shouldn't be losing to, I mean, we can already start looking for a new coach in my eyes. And that sucks. That's not what I want to happen. I like Kevin. I like a lot of what I've seen from him. I have liked. It's just we have to live by UNLV basketball standards. And UNLV basketball standards is the NCAA tournament. Okay, not just winning 20 games, not just having some moral victories like we beat a ranked team or, we finally beat San Diego State. No, we need to be in the tournament. We need to hear our name called on Selection Sunday. All right, otherwise I'm afraid Kruger's done. And I'm not yet convinced Kruger's a good coach, but I'm also not convinced he's a bad coach. He's shown me some stuff that I like. So his first year, I was very optimistic about Kevin moving forward after his first season. And the reason for that was I thought we got the job done against the teams we were supposed to beat. We beat the teams we should have beat. Because when we had Dave Rice, we lost so many games where we were favored or we had the clear, more talented team. We lost so many of them, it made me pull my hair out. But Kevin got it done. He beat the teams he was supposed to beat his first year. Okay, I want to say in the point spread, we were only lost like one game against the point spread. All right, so I felt really good about that. And then going into his second year, We start off the season 10-0, right? We beat a ranked Dayton. I was feeling really good about us. I was feeling really good about our future at that point. And then I don't know what the hell happened after that. My goodness, we got into conference play, and you know what? We had a really good defensive team. We had a lot of guards who could defend. We had a lot of players that could defend, but man, we were short. We couldn't rebound, so teams figured out how to beat us. And after we lost that first game to San Francisco, we lost more games than we won from that point on. Okay, it was a tough year. So after that season, I had to really question, like, is Kruger our guy? And then last year, I won't get into that too much because I've already talked about it. How much the team improved from the start of the year to the end of the year, that makes me feel good about him. So all I can hope is he's learned from these last 3 years. He's going to have this team ready and prepared every single game, not wait till our back's against the wall to start playing, not wait till we're practically, out of the race for being an at-large bid before we start winning games. Like getting it done from the start all season long. Play good in the non-conference and play good in conference play. Because I don't remember the last time we've done that. I mean, you got to go back to like Lon Kruger or maybe Dave Rice's first year. Okay, so next I want to talk about fan support. Holy crap. It is so sad when you go to UNLV basketball games. I want to say we averaging like 5,000 fans a game. Like we're a Big West school. It's embarrassing. And then you see New Mexico selling out and just having 10+ thousand fans at all their games, and it's depressing. So I've learned that it's going to take a lot to get those fans back. So, and what helped me really realize that, like, not just winning some games or not just being like having like a decent record, like it's going to take a lot because Kevin's second year, like I said, we started off 10-0. We beat a ranked team. We were getting some votes to be ranked. We still weren't getting fans at the games. We were still barely getting over 5,000-6,000 people at those games, despite the fact that we were undefeated. And I was like, dang, this is depressing. I don't think we're ever going to be able to recover. And it doesn't help that we went through our dark period where we have, those Marvin Menzies teams, and then Otzelberger comes in, has a couple of crappy seasons, and then bails on us. We had our dark period in UNLV basketball at the same time that the Golden Knights came. And the Golden Knights were just awesome from day one. Okay, and then the Raiders came, the Aces came. So all these people kind of shifted their fan support towards other teams. They started getting really into, the Vegas Golden Knights and other things, and they just forgot about UNLV basketball. They just stopped caring. So with all that being said, it's going to take a lot to get the fans back. Like, we're going to need not just a good team in December. Like, we're going to need to win, get nationally ranked. We're going to need to beat nationally ranked opponents. We're going to need to make the tournament. We're going to need to have a full successful season and then have reasons to think that we're going to be even better the following year. Okay, so maybe bring De'Don Thomas back for his junior year, coming off of a good year. Maybe bring in some really good transfers, because we got some NIL money. Like, we're going to have to come off of a successful season with an optimistic outlook that we are going to build off that success. That's what it will take. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to predict we will have better fan support next season because we're going to be a good team next year. We will be a good team. So I'm going to predict that our attendance will go up. It's not going to skyrocket, but it's going to go up to about 2,000 to 3,000 more than it was the previous season, with our largest crowd being a near sellout, 15,000, 16,000. It's going to be a big home game against San Diego State or Boise or something. That is what I'm predicting. So we're going to have improved fan support, okay, but it's not going to go back to what it used to be. Okay, we used to average 13,000 plus, and we would sell out a few games a year. I don't think we've had a really big crowd since we played Arizona when they had DeAndre Ayton back when we had Marvin Menzies. I think that was the last time we had like 15,000 fans, and it's just been awful ever since. Okay, so before I wrap up, I'm going to get into some individual awards. First of all, our MVP, I'm going DJ Thomas. Shocker there. I've talked about him so much. I don't need to get into it too much, but he's gonna be the guy that we give the ball to in a close game, and we say, make something happen. Get us this victory. And that's why he was our most valuable player last year for that reason. Okay, we just put the ball in his hands and let him go to work. Okay, which brings me to one little thing I want to rant about real quick. DJ Thomas versus JT Toppin. So DJ Thomas and JT Toppin were co-freshmen of the year in the coaches poll. The media poll, it was JT Toppin was the lone freshman of the year. And so there was a lot of debate and discussion on Twitter about those two freshmen, who's better and all that. And I just remember New Mexico fans being outraged at the thought that they should be co-freshman of the year. Oh my gosh, of course JT Toppin is the better freshman. Of course he should be the lone freshman of the year. And I just remember thinking, are they serious right now? Are they that biased? I mean, you gotta if you compare these two players, yes, JT Toppin was awesome. Yes, he actually did have better advanced stats than DJ Thomas. He was a very good defensive player, so I will absolutely give him that. But my God, you got to actually watch the games. Basketball isn't all stats. A lot of stuff is you just see it with your eyes, right? DJ Thomas was the guy willing us to victory in close games. He was the one putting the team on his back, taking the tough shots, winning us games single-handedly. He was our superstar. He was our best player, our most valuable player on a team that finished ahead of New Mexico in the standings. Okay? In New Mexico, I watched a lot of their games. In the last 5 minutes of a close game, JT Toppin was not involved. Okay? It was Dent, it was House, it was Mashburn Jr. Those were the guys taking all the shots. DJ was our guy. He was our Kobe. He was our Curry. He was our LeBron. Okay? So that reason alone, at the very least, they should be co-freshmen of the year. Okay? So to say Toppin is undoubtedly better is insanely biased. New Mexico fans, I love how much you love your team. Come on, bro. Come on. All right, leading scorer, I'm going to go DJ Thomas. That could be between DJ Thomas or Jalen Bedford. Speaking of Jalen Bedford, I'm going to say he's going to be newcomer of the year. It's going to be either him or Jaden Henley. And then sixth man of the year, I'm going Brooklyn Hicks. He's going to have a big year for us. I've read stuff on the message board. I've read stuff on Twitter saying, they don't think he's that good or he doesn't have that much upside. I don't know why they think that, but I've watched a lot of film on him, and I know talent. That's one thing with basketball I do is I can see talent. And Brooklyn Hicks has a lot of talent. He has a ton of potential. Go watch his highlight tape on YouTube right now, the one that just came out as of August 22nd. It shows how athletic he is. It shows how he knows how to change directions on a split second, making him difficult to defend. He has a beautiful-looking jump shot. He jumps out of the gym. He's going to be really good for us, okay? So I am picking him to be our sixth man of the year. I'm also picking him to be our most improved, all right? Okay, that's all I got for today. Hopefully I didn't vent and rant too much. I'm a little bit under the weather, so my voice is a little funky, so if I sound weird, that's why. But that is all I got for today. I'm going to be dropping another episode soon, so we're going to get into I'm going to predict the starting lineup, so that's why I didn't do it in this episode. So, all right, thanks, guys.